What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today we're going to be talking about the craziness that has been unraveled over the last month or so regarding Call of Duty's future and what it might mean for COD 2.0. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like, and let me know down below in the comment section, have you ever played Call of Duty on a Nintendo platform, whether it's the original Wii or even the Wii U? I believe the last Call of Duty to release on Nintendo was Call of Duty Ghosts back in 2013 over on the Wii U itself. That was quite some time ago, and with that being said, we'll get more into Call of Duty returning to Nintendo later in this video. Feel free to skip ahead if you guys want to use timestamps.
Now, something that really changes the way that bundles actually work here in COD 2.0 is the fact that this bundle, the Hear No Evil pack, actually went live in Warzone Mobile first, and if you buy it over in Warzone Mobile, you can use it in Modern Warfare 2 and even Warzone 2. But what's weird about this is that there currently isn't a leaked release date for this pack on consoles or PC, but if you have access to Warzone Mobile early through Australia, then you can buy it right now and use it in any other one of those games. But I'm sure this pack is going to end up coming out at some point before the end of January and before the start of Season 2, but the bundle does come with a blueprint for the MX-9 and even the SO-14, both of which come with some green tracer fire. Now, Warzone Mobile isn't currently available for any other region aside from Australia. It is going to get a worldwide launch in the next couple of months, which I'll be covering here on the channel, of course. It'll definitely change the way that camo progression also works, as I talked about many times here on the channel. But with Warzone Mobile, I do think that it'll be cool to see if there's any exclusive bundles that release just for Warzone Mobile that aren't available for Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2, but we'll just have to wait and see. But overall, I also wonder what other changes we're going to end up seeing to how cosmetics work over the course of COD 2.0's life cycle. And with that being said, I also want to see some more weapon vaults added to the game, hopefully in the next season or two.
I did make a video back during October talking about a giant recap regarding the Microsoft acquisition and what was going on with the deal, how it could affect COD in the future. You guys seem to really like that video, so let's do that yet again with all the craziness that has been reported on over the last month or so, maybe even a bit more. You're probably confused or overwhelmed with how much has been reported on the deal, to the point where you probably don't even care about it anymore, but you'll probably care more about this once you hear what I have to say about it here in this commentary, so bear with me for a bit. So, as of recently, the FTC has chosen to block the Microsoft acquisition of Activision, right? Bit of a tongue twister. Microsoft's full response to the FTC lawsuit over blocking the Activision deal was also published, and Microsoft followed up on a statement that I found very interesting from the FTC, where the FTC said, and I quote, "Microsoft has already shown that it can and will withhold content from its gaming rivals. Today, we seek to stop Microsoft from gaining control over a leading independent game studio and using it to harm competition in multiple dynamic and fast-growing gaming markets." Microsoft replied by saying the deal would benefit more gamers worldwide, and they claim that that statement is just baseless. So the FTC document also says that a hearing date is going to be in August of 2023. That'll be Microsoft's opportunity to actually present a case over in court. But that's 2 months after the expecting closing date of the deal. So with that in mind, that probably means that because that's past the closing date, a new deal would have to be renegotiated to see if Microsoft can later acquire Activision. And it's unclear how messy this is going to be, but in all honesty, like I mentioned before, this is a deal that probably won't actually close or even take effect for many, many years. So this is going to be something that isn't an overnight change. For those out there that think Microsoft is already in charge, that they're making changes to Call of Duty, we're nowhere near that stage as of right now. Now, this is where things get even spicier in regards to the FTC's blocking of the Microsoft acquisition. So the FTC is apparently going in on the Microsoft deal for Activision because of the previous Bethesda acquisition from many years ago. They've stated that Microsoft made numerous statements to regulators about Bethesda that they since changed. That's a problem. I won't deny that one. They also said that they're directly stating one of their key reasons in suing to block the deal is because of how Microsoft handled the Bethesda deal, saying that they'd keep games multi-platform, then change their minds afterwards. I'm not sure if a lot of things just weren't in writing and they were just hearsay. That's why things got changed later. As of right now with Call of Duty, as we'll get to in a bit, Microsoft has promised quite a bit in regards to keeping Call of Duty multi-platform, but again, maybe the FTC is concerned about those statements and promises because of what happened with Bethesda, which is a fair point. So I get that. We then have Brad Smith, the president of Microsoft, coming out and saying, "We have been committed since day one to addressing competition concerns, including by offering earlier this week proposed concessions to the FTC. While we believe in giving peace a chance, we have complete confidence in our case and welcome the opportunity to present it in court." So we're not going to see what happens in court until, again, August 2023. If Microsoft is this bold about the competition concerns and they feel very confidently that there won't be any multi-platform issues for Call of Duty, let's say, then let's see them in court. But again, because that's after the proposed closing deal, which is supposed to be June 2023, does that mean the deal will just fall through anyway? Would have to be renegotiated since they're going to be past the closing date? That's the big question right now. Now, it then got a bit weird where then it was confirmed Activision Blizzard's president and chief operating officer, Daniel, is leaving the company at the end of March per a new release. He has taken a new role as CEO of Yuga Labs, the creator of the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So with that in mind, I'll first say I'm not sure what the hype is, at least still in regards to NFTs. That's just really weird, but we've seen a lot of CEOs as of lately stepping down from big companies to work on those projects. Not sure what's going on with that. We're not even going to get into NFTs here, but with that in mind, does this mean he already knows the deal won't go through and is like, you know what, I'm out? I wonder if he's trying to get out before things get even stickier. That's a big question. I mean, him departing the company might not mean anything in the long run for this acquisition, but maybe it does. Just keep that in mind. I wouldn't put it past that. But with that being said, Bloomberg is now reporting that in their latest effort to win regulators, Microsoft's COD deal to Sony also now includes the right for Sony to put COD on PlayStation Plus subscriptions, along with it being on Game Pass. Sony has not accepted any deal from Microsoft as of right now. That's also a bit of a follow-up to a supposed promise or contract that exists somewhere that says Call of Duty can remain on PlayStation for at least the next 10 years. There's no doubt in my mind that COD will remain on PlayStation for quite some time, because even when Microsoft owns Activision, if they end up actually owning them at some point, they're going to make all the money anyway from all of the crazy sales that COD has on PS4 and even PS5. So why lose out on that money unless there's a strategy to say, okay, let's cut PlayStation off because we want to push all those people to getting COD on Game Pass or for Xbox consoles instead. I still don't think that's smart for Microsoft to do, and they probably won't do that. But the fact they've offered Sony that and Sony didn't accept it probably means there's something else in that deal that Sony isn't a fan of, or else they probably would have signed it by now. But I'm really wondering what's going to happen with this. Maybe Sony is like, you know, we're not going to sign that deal because we already want the deal to fall through anyway, the entire acquisition, and they're confident the FTC is going to block the deal regardless, so they don't even feel the need to try to sign COD on for another decade over with Microsoft. Now, Microsoft's president also said in a separate tweet that Sony has not accepted the 10-year deal for Call of Duty, but they are happy to hammer out a deal for PS platforms at some point in the future, so let's see if that ever happens. But this also made me laugh. A tweet from Charlie Intel which says, it's a bit crazy how Sony has made Call of Duty such a big deal to regulators this year that it forced Microsoft's hand to reach out and sign agreements with Nintendo, Steam, etc. for the franchise, and still no guarantee regulators say yes. FTC decision is expected soon. This was put out before the FTC actually sued and blocked the deal, so that is pretty funny. COD is that big to where it literally made this deal fall through. If Activision didn't own Call of Duty, I actually don't think Sony would have been as stuck up about it. I don't think the deal would be on hold the way that it is right now. So yeah, that's how big and powerful the Call of Duty franchise truly is. Now, if you guys are wondering what's going on with some supposed agreements between Nintendo and Steam, the Steam one is a bit weird since apparently a deal wasn't even signed. Steam apparently believes that COD will always be available for Steam anyway, at least for the foreseeable future. I know it wasn't for a couple of years, but I think now going forward, they saw how big the Steam sales were for Call of Duty, and they're like, you know what, Modern Warfare 2 was that hot for Steam, why ever remove COD ever again from Steam platforms? So I think the element of choice is huge here, right? Having more platforms to choose from is the best way to go for COD. Have Battlenet, have Steam, have PlayStation, Xbox, and maybe even Nintendo. So with Nintendo now, that's where things get really exciting, because if this actually does go through, there might be a solid future for COD on Nintendo platforms. Maybe not the Switch, but a future Nintendo hardware that we don't know about yet. So in an interview with the Washington Post, Xbox's Phil Spencer says their intention is to bring new Call of Duty games to Nintendo, but previously released COD games will be looked at as well. That's a big claim. So that is clearly saying their intention is that new CODs release on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Nintendo at the very same time. Now, if this deal eventually goes through, I don't see this taking effect until maybe COD 2025, 2026, if that. Not Modern Warfare 2 Year 2 or whatever happens next year, and definitely not the next Black Ops game, but maybe a COD game after that. It's totally plausible here, but Activision Blizzard's statement on Microsoft making a deal with Nintendo was as follows. We applaud Microsoft's commitment, and we're excited to grow the COD community together after the merger closes. That's if the merger closes, though, because it probably won't, and it looks like Microsoft are the ones interested in this to, I guess, boost sales and just expand the audience of COD. I'm on board with that, but Activision clearly hasn't been on board with that for some time, since, again, there hasn't been a Call of Duty on Nintendo platform since, I think, 2013. But here's what's funny, though. A report from the analytical site MLex does state that Sony reportedly believes Microsoft's deal with Nintendo for COD is smokes and mirror and misleading, and that current COD can never work on Nintendo Switch, otherwise Activision would have already done it. that's a fair point, but I do think maybe they're referring to some other Nintendo hardware that hasn't been announced yet that they know could eventually handle Call of Duty. That would be badass, because I've been one of those people over the past couple of years that said, you know what, maybe don't bring a whole full Call of Duty on Nintendo Switch, but at least that Ops Arcade 1, 2, and 3, or just maybe Blackout. What about Warzone Mobile? Could that work on Nintendo Switch? At least that, even if we don't get a full-fledged multiplayer zombies or even a campaign, at least something COD related would sell pretty well on Switch, I think. I'd be down for it. I'd play it. I'd cover it. Let's see what happens in the future here. But the Washington Post then reported that Activision has been made fully aware that Microsoft entered into the agreement with Nintendo for COD after it was announced. And Spencer said Activision was going to be in early planning stages for it if the deal was approved. What that means now, that's probably written in a bit of a confusing way. What that means is that Microsoft and Activision, Nintendo, they all weren't on the same page until after Phil Spencer made that announcement over on a podcast that, yeah, they want to bring COD to Nintendo. Those early stages. So they're, again, kind of following in the footsteps of the Bethesda acquisition, which the FTC was concerned about, which is that Microsoft's out here saying things, or Phil Spencer specifically, they're out here saying things about how they want to keep things multi-platform, they want to expand, they want to do this, they want to do that, before any paperwork's even signed. So that is a reason to be concerned. If then the deal goes through and then they just back away from the deal, I could see why FTC wants to block the deal now. I really could see it. But the last thing I'll end with is this report from Charlie Intel. He says, when I spoke to Call of Duty devs a few years back, they stated the MW19 engine won't run on Nintendo Switch, so not clear how Microsoft intends for this to happen, whether cloud gaming, optimizing the engine for it, or waiting for a next-gen Nintendo hardware. For everyone saying it'll be mobile, no, Phil Spencer says his intention is for the same new Call of Duty to release on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Nintendo the same day. That's why, like I was saying earlier, this has to be something that's in reference to new Nintendo hardware, maybe in a couple years, and definitely not Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 2024, but games that get made with that new hardware in mind from Nintendo. So this, again, won't be something that actually takes effect for many, many years to come, even though I'd love to see COD 2.0 already added to Nintendo at some point. I just don't think it's possible as of right now. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on all the craziness regarding FTC blocking the Microsoft acquisition, and how you're feeling about COD 2.0's future on Nintendo hardware or even Steam? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.